Hey kids, welcome to Odd Duck Foundry. Hope everybody's doing well today. This is one of the latest sign patterns that I have. I received this from a gentleman who was no longer using it and just sent it to me very kindly, and did a really good job casting it. And this is the one I'm going to use as a pattern. And I will be putting this on a match plate and casting a bunch of these up. Should have them available pretty soon. Got me to thinking though, how many sign patterns do I actually have? And I don't think I've ever counted them. I got a bunch. I got a lot. So I figured might be an interesting video to show all my sign patterns. So that's the latest. This is the granddaddy of them all. This is pretty much the first sign pattern I ever made, and it's also, I believe, the first cast match plate I ever made. I was kind of experimenting with it. Pardon me. And just made myself a little sign pattern. And this is probably the best advice you're ever going to get if you can read it. When all else fails, read the instructions. Works every time you try it. My second oldest one, my buddy Dick, made a quarter scale Pennsylvania Railroad whistle post pattern and wanted me to cast it so that it had the post mount on the back all cored out and ready to put on a stick or something and put it in the ground. And this is one of my next cast match plates that I made, and I did this so I could cope down to put the core where it was supposed to go in the post mount. All right, on to probably one of the most used patterns I have. I've made a lot of signs out of this blank, and this is a Pennsylvania Railroad rectangular-ish sign blank. I've done a lot of stuff on this. There's been a lot of variations on this theme, and there will continue to be, because this is a very useful sign size and a sign shape. You can fit a lot of letters on there. And as you can see, it's been refinished multiple times. Might have to make myself another blank here eventually, but this one's still going strong. So let's see some of the ones that I've made out of this. Some of the earliest ones were my caution signs. This is early Pennsylvania Railroad. Caution, do not trespass on the railroad. And caution, do not trespass on the bridge, or this bridge. And I've made a bunch of each of these. They seem to be fairly popular. And these are some of the newer ones that I've made with it. I did this one earlier this year from a request from somebody. Restricted speed. And tunnel ahead, because it wouldn't make any sense to have a tunnel behind sign, would it? Haha, these are the jokes, folks. Sorry. And my newest yard limit sign. If you're wondering why I'm tilting them, it's because I paint everything black because, well, it's cheap. And it might be kind of hard to see the lettering on that flat background. So, tilt it this way and that so you can see it. Now this next one is Pennsylvania Railroad style. There's conjecture as to whether or not they actually had this sign. Probably didn't. However, I used the Pennsylvania Railroad font and the Pennsylvania Railroad background. If they had one, it'd probably look a lot like this. And I can put pretty much any elevation in there that anyone would want. Now this one here, I have probably made skilly billion of the things. I take this pattern with me to like casting demonstrations at living history museums, events like that. Crowd seems to like it. I've made a pile of them. They've been very popular, and it's just an interesting sign to hang on your front door. This is a just because, you know. And again, due to a request from a friend of mine, we have this one. I made these for his Model T club. And I've got the Model A variation as well. Pretty simple to do. You know, grind off the T and add an A. This here is a pattern, what I like to refer to as my candy bar whistle posts. My friend Carlton gave me this idea. He said, you know, why don't you take and make a small whistle post and cast it so that they're all together, so that when somebody buys one, they'll have multiple and they can just cut off however many they need. And I thought to myself, that's a good idea. So here we are. This is the Pennsylvania Railroad Keystone Whistle Post. These are 1/8 scale with the post mount on the back. And I got a couple other variations on that theme. Here's an oval one. Now these were used for various railroads. I'm not exactly sure which ones. I've been told that yes, these did exist, and the next one did exist somewhere, and they were used as whistle posts. And here's the next one. This is just basically a diamond shaped one with the post mounts on the back. Now the trickiest thing about these was lining up the post mounts on the back to the signs on the front. That was a bit of a trick, but they all come out pretty good. They're all pretty much located exactly where they're supposed to be. Now this next sign, I saw a picture of it somewhere online. I can't remember exactly where. And I was like, I like that sign. So I decided to make it. And it was kind of a off-the-cuff whim weekend project kind of thing. And I've made a bunch of them. And it came out real nice. And these cast real nice too. These pull very nicely from the sand. I get good results with this. And I finally saw a full-size version of one in a video. I believe it was on Brick Mountain. One of the videos for Brick Mountain. They've got one there somewhere. And so it actually existed. Once again, this one here was a request from somebody who wanted a couple of these done with different letters and numbers in the center of them. I made a variation with an S going that way, for slow order, and this is a return to speed. And I made a couple with a 5 and a 10 in the middle for a diamond for a speed limit. And I've now got a nice little rectangular sign base if I want to use it for something else. This is an older one. This was fun to do. Somebody sent me a picture of railroad post office caution, look out when the mailbag when train passes sign. I was like, that's a neat sign. And this is a quarter scale replica of that with, this is cord out for mounting it on a post. And it's double-sided, and again, that was a little bit tricky to get lined up more or less correctly. Still not quite right, but it's close enough and it cleans up good. So, and now to kind of an invention of my own. Well, I thought it was a good idea at the time. These are what I call my step stakes. And these are what they look like here when they're finished, cast. And I'm rather disappointed in the reception of them. I just don't think people quite understand what the heck they are. And I've got a whole pile of variations on the toppers for them. Whistle posts. So far, mostly whistle posts. Restricted speed and a slow order sign. I kind of came up with this one. I have one of these on my railroad. It's a grade warning sign because I have a rather sharp downhill on one portion of my little railroad. But yeah, the heads can be replaced on it. And don't know how many more of these I'm going to make because, like I said, the interest just did not seem to be there. So now here's one that I've made a bunch of. These are my larger yard limit signs. This is the Union Pacific Flying V yard limit and an early Pennsylvania Railroad yard limit hatchet sign. And this was probably circa 1917, thereabouts. That's what the standard was from, if I remember right. That was the nice thing about the Pennsylvania Railroad, is they had a standard for everything. They wrote everything down. They had plans for it. I mean, you name it, they had a plan for it. And those still exist. So, nice, easy way to make signs. Then again, a couple more Pennsylvania Railroad ones. This is a 1/8 scale of the original. 1/8 or 1/4. I can't exactly remember. But the original oval of this is a pretty good size sign. I mean, it's like 6 feet long, thereabouts. So, pardon me. And here's the New Jersey variant of that. Yes, there was a New Jersey only variant. They had to be different. The neat thing about some signs like that is that you can also make blanks of them and use them for other things. I've made a bunch of these. This is basically the Pennsylvania Railroad oval sign. And I've cast a whole bunch of these up. And my wife, who does wonderful floral painting, you ought to look her up, Gail's Upstairs Studio, on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. She does wonderful floral painting, so we decided to combine our hobbies. And I cast the blanks, finish them up, and she does the painting on them. We've taken them to multiple craft fairs, and they've done very well. I've also cast her a bunch of the Pennsylvania Railroad blanks, the rectangular ones. Those have been pretty popular too. This is another sign blank I made. I can't remember originally why I made it. Probably I had to make a sign for somebody and wanted a fancier base. So, and again, most of these are flat back. They don't have anything on the other side. Makes it a lot easier to make a match plate that way. And last but not least, this is one made very similar to the last two. Basically, I went to Michael's or Hobby Lobby or one of those places and got one of their wooden sign pieces that had the nice outline on the edge of them, and made a sign out of it. And made this because this is like a weekend project. I wanted a couple of location signs on my little railroad out back, and I was like, do I want a huge one? I was like, no, I want something a little bit smaller. So I went ahead and made this for myself, and I've used it for a couple other things too. And probably later on this week, I have plans. If anybody is curious as to how to make a sign pattern like this, I will be showing how I do it. I will be making a video this week and putting it up probably by the end of the week, early next week, showing you how to make a simple sign pattern like this. It's not that difficult. All right, now I counted 26. I have plans to add dozens more because there's all kinds of signs out there. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to be adding 3 or 4 more this week. So, if you have any sign ideas, if you see something here, or if you have a railroad sign, if you have a good picture of it, send it to me. And I can probably make you a scale sign of that. Or, better yet, metal casting is a great hobby. It lends itself to a lot of things. Give it a try yourself. Pattern making is not that difficult. You just have to think ahead a little bit. All right? Well, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.